Hey, welcome back to Business 150, Introduction to Management. This is now video number 2 in our Module 3. Module 3, of course, looking at the environment of management. And as you can see from this title slide, in this video we're looking at the internal environment of management. First video we looked at the external environment. Now we're looking at the internal environment of management. And we hope that after this video you will be able to specify the major factors in the internal environment, as well as identify the major elements and sources of corporate culture. So let's consider, when we describe the internal environment, what we're talking about is the conditions and stakeholder forces within an organization, which of course includes, well, the owners, whether or not we're talking about a sole proprietorship, or whether we're talking about a partnership or a full-fledged corporation. Every organization has owners, and they are certainly part of the internal environment. In a public corporation, you also have a board of directors, and that would also be part of the internal environment, as would the actual employees, as would the physical work environment, as would this thing we call corporate culture. The all-important aspect of corporate culture, culture can be difficult to define, and yet we all know what culture is when we work in an organization. Organizational culture can be described as the set of internal values, beliefs, behaviors, customs, and attitudes that determines the feel of the organization. It's how people treat one another. It's what the attitude and the air in the room is, so to speak, in an organization's culture. Not necessarily the same throughout an entire organization. What does that mean? Well, in a very large organization with multiple locations and multiple departments, perhaps in other states of the United States and those kinds of things, right? Other cities and states, you may have different flavors of organizational culture depending on where geographically you are. It's not necessarily the same throughout the entire organization, but each set of geographical locations will have its own distinct culture. From a management perspective, I would tell you, organizational culture must be managed so that its strengths benefits the firm in terms of overall effectiveness and long-term success. As a manager, you cannot afford to simply say, well, we got the culture we've got, nothing I can do about it. No. You must actually manage it effectively to be used as an asset and not a detriment to your actual company performance. In fact, organizational culture can be dysfunctional, especially if it becomes strongly resistant to change. These are all considerations a good manager has to take into account, no matter if the organizational culture is healthy or whether it's unhealthy and dysfunctional. Let me give you an illustration of corporate culture. I want you to watch this short film clip. It is a short clip from the film The Boiler Room with Giovanni Ribisi, Ben Affleck here in this short little scene as a corporate recruiter. And interestingly enough, this film features Vin Diesel as a stockbroker. Yes, I said that. Vin Diesel as a stockbroker. Not in this particular film clip, but what I want you to watch this film clip for is for the suggestion of corporate culture, attitudes, beliefs, values, convictions that is illustrated by this film clip. Oh, and a word of caution. As you consider this film clip, Ben Affleck's character does drop the profanity quite frequently. I apologize for that. But what I really want you to be looking for is the type of culture and attitude and what they project as the most important at this particular firm.
Yeah, group interview my ass. It was like a Hitler Youth rally in retrospect. The guy who pitched us, Jim Young, was the head recruiter there.
Okay, guys, let's go.
Between him and Michael, honestly, they could sell bubblegum in the Lockjaw Ward at Bellevue.
Sorry, man. It's my mistake.
Shit, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry about it.
Fucking dumbass.
Get the fuck out of here.
What?
Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. Just pick your ass up out of that Italian leather chair and get the fuck out of this room right now. Come on, let's go, Schleprock. Out. That's it. We expect everyone here to treat their coworkers with a certain level of respect. Okay, before we get started, I have one question. Has anyone here passed the Series 7 exam?
I have a Series 7 license.
Good for you. You can get out too.
What? Why?
We don't hire brokers here. We train new ones. That's it, Skippy. Pack your shit. Let's go. Okay. Here's the deal. I'm not here to waste your time. Okay? I certainly hope you're not here to waste mine. So I'm going to keep this short. Become an employee of this firm, you will make your first $1 million within 3 years. Okay? I'm going to repeat that. You will make $1 million within 3 years of your first day of employment at JT Marlin. There is no question as to whether or not you'll become a millionaire working here. The only question is how many times over. You think I'm joking? I am not joking. I am a millionaire. It's a weird thing to hear, right? I tell you, it's a weird thing to say. I am a fucking millionaire. I guess how old I am. 27. You know what that makes me here? A fucking senior citizen. This firm is entirely comprised of people your age, not mine. Lucky for me, I happen to be very fucking good at my job, or I'd be out of one. You guys are the new blood. You're gonna go home with the Kesef. You are the future big swinging dicks of this firm. Now, y'all look money hungry, and that's good. Anybody tells you money's the root of all evil doesn't fucking have any. They say money can't buy happiness. Look at the fucking smile on my face. Ear to ear, baby. You want details? Fine. I drive a Ferrari, 355 Cabriolet. What's up? I have a ridiculous house in the South Fork. I have every toy you can possibly imagine. And best of all, kids, I am liquid. So, now you know what's possible. Let me tell you what's required. You are required to work your fucking ass off at this firm. We want winners here, not pikers. A piker walks at the bell. Piker asks how much vacation time you get in the first year. Vacation time. People come and work at this firm for one reason, to become filthy rich. That's it. We're not here to make friends. We're not saving the fucking manatees here, guys. You want vacation time? Go teach third grade public school. Okay. First 3 months at the firm are as a trainee. You make $150 a week. After you're done training, you take the Series 7. You pass that, you become a junior broker, and you're opening accounts for your team leader. You open 40 accounts, you start working for yourself. Sky's the limit. Word or two about being a trainee, friends, your parents, the other brokers, whoever, they're going to give you shit about it. It's true. $150 a week, not a lot of money, but pay them no mind. You need to learn this business, and this is the time to do it. Once you pass the test, none of that's going to matter. Your friends are shit. They tell me you made 25 grand last month, they're not going to fucking believe you. Fuck them. Fuck them. Parents don't like the life you lead? Fuck you, mom and dad. See how it feels when you're making their fucking Lexus payments. Now go home and think about it. Think about whether or not this is really for you. If you decide it isn't, listen, it's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's not for everyone. Thanks. But if you really want this, you call me on Monday, and we'll talk. Just don't waste my fucking time. Okay, that's it.
Whew, all right. Now you can sort of get a sense in that particular portrayal of that firm. What are the values there? What's the most important? And here's the question I would ask you. Is that the kind of firm that you'd want to work for? Why or why not? What are some of the things about that firm that might attract you to consider working at a place like that? What do you think work life would be like there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 5:30 at night? Is that something that would be attractive to you, or something that you would be a little put off by? Things to consider. And there are no right or wrong answers to this. That is a matter of personal preference. But clearly, as you can see from that particular film clip, it should be obvious there are certain things that are very, very important to succeed at that firm, and attitudes that are very important to hold if you're going to be successful at that firm. Now, the next film clip I want you to consider is an actual firm, a design firm on the peninsula called IDEO, which is famous for its corporate culture. I want you to take a look at this film clip from a news documentary, a television documentary on that firm, for you to consider what's important and valued in their corporate culture, and therefore, is that a firm that perhaps you would consider working at based on what you can deduce about their values, convictions, and corporate culture from this film clip?
At IDEO, they found that fresh ideas come faster in a fun place. Not only is the furniture on wheels to suit the needs of the moment, but people are encouraged actually to build their own work areas.
And they were designing this space, and they said to me, you know, we'd like to have, you know, $4,000 extra in our budget for a DC-3 wing. And I said, DC-3, you have to have that? And they said, yeah, they have to have it. So
that's a DC-3 wing.
Piece of a DC-3 wing, yeah.
And that's just decor.
That's decor. That's ambiance. You know, that says we're weird, and we're proud of it.
Umbrellas on the ceiling to shade computer screens from direct sunlight. And bicycles on ropes to prevent clutter.
The first guy who hung a bike up on a thing, he didn't come to me and ask me. He didn't ask some facilities person was okay. He tried it. And then, like, he waited and see if anybody complained. If nobody complained, another guy hung a bike up. And pretty soon, everybody's got their bikes up and nobody's complained, right? So it's that whole thing of trying stuff and ask forgiveness, you know, instead of asking permission, is the way people come up with new ideas.
IDEO has such a reputation for innovation that client companies are increasingly asking Dave, not just for new products, but also to remake their corporate cultures. You may be looking at the workplace of the future here.
It's one thing to be able to do a product once in a while, but if you can build a culture and a process where you routinely come up with great ideas, that's what the companies really want.
All right. Is IDEO the kind of company that some of you would consider working at? Would you consider that a better fit for you as a person, as a human being, as well as someone, a professional looking to advance in their career, as opposed to the first film clip and that corporate culture that was portrayed in the first little clip? Well, these are the kinds of considerations as we look at this particular slide, this next slide, the determinants of organizational culture. Most textbooks will tell you that organizational culture is a result of many things, like the example of organization's leadership, a set of shared experiences, the symbols, stories, heroes, slogans, and ceremonies that are enduring within a company, as well as the history of organizational successes. I do agree that all of those things play into the formation and sustenance of organizational culture, but I would tell you this. In my opinion, I think the number one determinant of organizational culture is the example of leadership. Managers, leaders, executives in the company will set the example of what is acceptable behavior and what is unacceptable behavior. What are the values and convictions that are really upheld when push comes to shove in an organization, and which kinds of convictions and values are simply given lip service to but really aren't the things that affect real decisions when the chips are down. I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone watches to see, what does the boss say? What kind of jokes does the boss laugh at? What kinds of things are really completely unacceptable when the leaders and executives of the company are around? What are the kinds of things you can talk about and not talk about? What is the example set by leaders and managers? And that's really the encouragement that I would give you. Everyone takes their weather with you. You are the one, whether your business card has a title on it or not, you are setting an example for the people around you of what are the values and convictions that are important to you. And therefore, what are the things that you work for? What are you passionate about? What are the kinds of things you find funny and the things you're willing to laugh at? What are the kinds of perhaps off-color or questionable examples of humor that you really don't tolerate? Those are all examples of leadership that you will bring into the culture and the environment that you set. And all of this is part of, both on a formal and an informal basis, the example of leaders in an organization. They're all part of corporate culture. They're all part of setting the tone of corporate culture in an organization. And so as we finish up this video, I hope that you have been able to consider the major factors in the internal environment that managers need to consider, as well as the major elements and sources of corporate culture, perhaps the most durable expression of the internal environment that managers engage with on a regular basis. I hope that's helpful as we kick off this look at the environment of management. This has now been our second video, and I hope that you have found this useful. We will see you in the next lecture.